everybody. I'm Miasma from Gyre Media, and today we are doing another taste of manga. And today we're going to be talking about Vinland Saga. Now, this is an incredibly popular manga by Makoto Yukimura, who is also famous for Planet Tess, another highly praised manga from a couple years back. And when I decided to start doing manga segments on my channel, there are certain titles that I kept coming across other people on YouTube talking about, and I'm kind of I count that echelon as like what people kind of refer to as must-read manga, and while I don't know if I'm going to like everything, I'm going to try out a lot of these must-read manga, and the first one that I really wanted to dig into was Vinland Saga. And now going into this, I knew just from like the cover art and what people had said that it was a Viking tale, which I admit sounded really cool, but it also did not sound like something that I would have the highest expectations going in. I thought it would be, as much as I like violence and I like gore and I like cool battles and stuff like that, I had no idea how deep it could actually be and how cool the characters could actually be. So going into Vinland Saga, I actually had semi-low expectations, despite what everyone had said. And it's not like I really wanted to hate on it going in. I knew it was also a very long series. It's actually still ongoing. But I was wrong, because this manga is fucking awesome. It is so epic with its fights and its action sequences, and more importantly, to what I had talked about before, its characters. It's basically about this guy named Thorfinn, who is a member of this mercenary group of Vikings who kind of do shit on their own. They're like sort of like pirates. It reminds me of. They're like pirate Vikings. In the sense that they get hired by noblemen and other armies and stuff like that to help them out because they're so incredibly strong in battle. And a lot of this takes place seemingly during like real events in history, between wars between, I might get this like some inaccuracies here. I believe like the Norse, like the Danes, and people in what would become England and stuff like that. Someone might rip me apart about history and stuff like that. But lots of wars be happening in Europe around this time. And the Vikings were a very powerful group of people during this time. And it shows that in epic detail with like the way that these guys fought, and their cool innovative actions and stuff like that. Like they carry their boats onto like the land to like attack like giant ass like doorways and stuff like that like, oh, it's impenetrable or whatever. Well, they don't have enough supplies, they're gonna have to go back. Well, the Vikings just carried their supplies to where they needed them to be, which is pretty badass. And there's a lot of badass fights, and this guy Thorfinn is really badass himself. Without spoiling too much, the majority of this first volume, which is actually really long, by the way, 16 chapters in volume 1, and it's only, as far as I know, available in this hardcover version. And it's pretty expensive. It's like $20 per volume, which is one reason why I was scared of getting addicted to this, but I am. Anyway, Thorfinn is the son of a guy named Thors, who was this really cool, strong, noble Viking guy back in the day, known as like a guy that was really fierce in battle and intelligent and stuff like that, but then wanted to live a peaceful life, and raise his kids and raise his family, and sort of sought this life of peace. And when Thorfinn was a young boy, his father gets killed before his eyes by the man who runs this mercenary group that he is now part of in the present day. So part of this manga takes place in when Thorfinn's like a teenager age, and he's part of this mercenary group, and he's a badass, and he's cutting people up. But he has this goal of fighting Askeladd, who is the leader of this mercenary group, who's also a really badass Viking. A lot of badass Vikings. You can take a shot every time I say badass Viking in this video, or you're going to be hammered, because there's a lot of badass Vikings being badass Vikings. So he wants to fight Askeladd. He's part of this mercenary group, seemingly because he doesn't have anything else. And then the rest of it is sort of flashback as to how it got to be this way. You learn about Thorfinn as a child. He was a much different person back then. He was kind of this like kind kid. And you learn about his dad, Thors, who was this really cool dude who just sought a life of peace. But circumstances happen where, let's just say you don't leave the Viking lifestyle easily. People will try and bring you back in. People don't like peace in this time in human history. And unfortunately, there's consequences for that. And upon seeing his dad killed before his very eyes, that changes Thorfinn a lot. And from then on, he vows to avenge his father. And that's basically Volume 1. And if that sounds like your cup of tea, you're going to love this. If it sounds like you're on the fence, like I kind of was, I think you're still going to love it because it's really, really cool and really badass Vikings. Yeah, it's really badass Vikings, by the way. And if you're into action, if you're into historical stuff, again, I can't 100% attest to inaccuracies or accuracies or anything regarding Vikings in here, but it seems like Makoto Yukimura tried to research stuff quite a bit. It actually goes into like pretty cool detail. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find the actual picture itself. But they have, like, in between some of the chapters, they'll have, like, factoids about Vikings and, like, cool, like, drawings and, like, depictions of, like, what the inside of their ship looked like, how, like, they would arrange, like, meetings and stuff like that, and cool stuff about, like, their culture that I did not know before. So, who says you can't learn from a manga, right? But, bear in mind, it's not all just learning. There's people getting their heads cut off. There's people getting their arms cut off. There's people getting a million arrows shot into them. So it's got all that rolled into one. And while it is lengthy and it is still ongoing, I highly recommend that you guys check out Makoto Yukimura's Vinland Saga. If you have read this or are currently, ahead, please don't spoil me, but let me know what you like most about this manga. If you're fully caught up, what else would you recommend that's sort of similar to this? And if you didn't like it, let me know about it down below. I don't really... maybe you're just not into action-y stuff. Maybe you're not into badass Vikings. Maybe you're not into YouTubers saying badass Vikings 30 million times in a video. But I did it anyway. Yep. As always, guys, thank you for watching. By the way... every Sunday, I am now doing a live chat with two fellow YouTubers, J Chip from the J Chip Show, and The Art of Anime. And you can find that live on my channel Sunday nights around 9, 10 o'clock. Follow me on Twitter for a more up-to-date time on that. And you can join and you can ask us questions. And yeah, it's just us talking about anime, and it's pretty relaxed. So if that's your kind of thing, check that out. And as always, thank you for watching. I'm Miasma from Gyre Media, signing out.